Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to take a look at the difference guitar strings make to your tone. Specifically, we're going to be looking at new guitar strings versus not so new guitar strings. What I've got here is my Gibson Les Paul Classic. The guitar strings, I'm just about to replace it, and so I want to do a side-by-side sound comparison. We've got the D'Addario NYXL 1046 guitar strings, or what's going to be going on here. And actually, that's what's on there right now. Just the ones on here are about a year old. Now, that sounds pretty old, but they've probably only got maybe 8 hours of cumulative playing time on them over that entire year, which is kind of sad. But more band practices coming up now, which is super exciting. So I'm going to throw some new strings on here. And thought it'd be a good time to show you the difference that new strings can make. These ones are probably going to sound pretty decent until I throw these new ones on, and I'm hoping they blow them out of the water, but we will find out. So, first things first, let's do a sound test with the old guitar strings on there. And then I'm going to swap them out and do a sound test with the new guitar strings. So check it out. Here are the old guitar strings here. Just put a piece of paper to make it easier to see. It's really clear here on the G. You can see it's kind of darker to like the proper silver color. Let me compare that against the original color. Look at how much of a difference. It's like all these strings. So it's like they're not rusty or anything extreme like that, but it's got this residue along the entire length of the string here where it's been played. Look here on the bridge. You can see a little bit of oxidation on the string as well. That's crazy. Not bad for not being played for forever, but definitely gonna replace them. I get 2 fingers on the other side of that, pull it back, and then twist it, kink that over, and then you can go ahead and just twist away. I like to wrap from up to down just to give myself a little bit better of a break angle. And as I get to the other side of the headstock here, the thinner strings, instead of 2 fingers, I like to work my way out to 3. Alright, now that we got our strings changed, let's take a listen before and after changing out those strings. First, we're going to do kind of a clean tone. This is a Fender Twin with the pickup selector switch in the middle position. Alright, next up we're going to play some individual notes, also the Fender Twin this time, pickup selector in the bridge position. Alright, now we're going to switch it up to a JCM 2204. It's going to be a little bit dirtier. Back to the chords. And lastly, we're going to play that little bridge riff, kind of a mix between some chords and some individual notes. Same exact setup as the last time. Alright, so let me know what you guys thought in the comments, but it was pretty hard to tell a difference between just listening to the playback. Honestly, the individual notes, I couldn't tell a difference, and I like to say that I have pretty darn good tuned ears. I couldn't tell a difference when, the individual plucked notes. Also on the distorted tracks there with the JCM, very, very hard to discern any sort of difference. It might have been a little bit brighter. I noticed the end of the very last, the fourth sample that we did, the very last chord. It's like an A minor. It sounded a little more dull before the strings had been changed, and definitely more brighter after the strings were changed. But I'm not sure if that was just due to my playing or whatnot, or was it indeed the strings. Where I was able to discern just a tiny bit of difference, and I'm just a tiny bit, was the first one where I was playing chords. Before the strings were changed, it was a little bit muddier than after. And what I particularly listened for is kind of the higher end and hearing the individual strings themselves. I feel like after the new strings are on the guitar, it was easier to discern the notes being played on individual strings as opposed to beforehand. They kind of all blended together, and that makes sense. I would expect a little bit more snap, a little bit more high end to come off the newer strings than with the older strings. But honestly, I'm pretty shocked by these results. Like, I thought it was going to be super obvious. Oh yeah, these new strings sound way better than the old strings, because that's how it always is after I change strings and start playing them, during rehearsal. I think a lot of that, though, might have to do with just the feel of the strings. You have those older strings, you saw they had some crud on them. They don't feel really nice to play. Whereas you put those brand new strings on, they're nice and shiny. Your fingers are going to slide over them really easy, and the guitar plays like butter. I think there's definitely a little bit of a placebo effect, but there's definitely a difference to the playability of the guitar, and just ever so slightly, at least with this particular guitar and string combination, just a tiny bit of difference to the actual sound quality coming out of it. It'd be interesting to do this test again with, an acoustic guitar, probably a lot more pronounced there, but I could be wrong again. Now, if you guys can think of another way to perform this test that would better highlight the difference between new strings and old strings, how they sound, please let me know in the comments below. I didn't really want to go and get like fully rusted strings, but maybe like a lower quality string would have a bigger difference. I feel like these D'Addario NYXLs, just my opinion, hold their tone for much longer than the cheaper guitar strings out there. But I don't know, because I haven't tested it for sure. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to subscribe for more videos and drop a comment down below.